a little explanation on what we'll do in this training. Our goal is to create a field, a custom field, which is not existing in order product, which you don't know yet, but I will explain what that is. And we'll have to implement functionality that calculates the discount for a product in percentage. Actually, we have the possibility for the moment, which is out of the box, to calculate it as a discount as a value. Like I want to discount 1,000 lakh, for example. And we will start with a brief introduction of our environment. So we get to know the necessary components to implement our functionality. Then we will create a solution which will contain our customization and a quick briefing on how the components should be managed. And I always joke with the term should be managed because Microsoft strongly encourages us to use the managed solutions to deploy our customizations in the production environment. And then we will create a JavaScript web resource to customize the behavior of the system using Visual Studio. And we will deploy our customization in the system and we'll see how it behaves, and probably we will debug our code because that's how it goes. We have the orders functionality because I wanted to implement the functionality in order product. I haven't set up my system, so we will create some of the necessary components and configurations while we, for example, I don't have a price list, I don't have products, so I will go and create the price list using shortcuts, probably. My prices in leg. I don't have items, which means I don't have products in this price list that I can sell, but I can create them. Thus, so to create a product in a price list, we have to specify the amount, but first we have to specify the product, which we don't have, and we have to create what we need to sell to the client. So as I mentioned before, with the red star asterisk is the fields are required. With the plus sign, the fields are business recommended. So which means it's good if we specify them, but they don't. It's not a problem if we don't specify them. They don't block our data input. So we want to sell free hugs, and the product ID is a code, let's say, to quickly find the product. So it's something like this. We can have auto number, let's call it, to create the product IDs with a given pattern. But that's something we have to configure. And we want to specify what's the unit which this product can be sold. And I'll just choose default unit group and primary unit, which means we have to go in the unit and see what that is. I don't want it to be with decimals, so I'm specifying 0, and I'll save my product. And we don't have a default price list because we just created the price list, but we'll just we'll see. And we have to publish our products because without publishing we don't have our product as a option to choose it, to add it to the product list. So we just specified the product and we'll choose our unit, and we'll specify the amount, which is how much does this product cost. And I said there are free hacks, but you have to pay a fee of 100 leg because of management costs. So we created our product, and we can close this. And as we can see in our price list, now we have free hugs, and these configurations are made always on by considering the requirements of the business that we are developing the application for. So it's mainly it's a job for the consultants to do. So now I'm creating an order, and I have my price list specified. So I'll just give a name to this specific order, and let's say this is just I should give here names like meaningful names, so I know which order I'm looking at. But I can write whatever I want. I have my touchpad enabled, and I have to choose the potential customer, which can be a contact or an account. As we can see, I have 2 contacts in the system, and I have all these accounts. So I'm choosing contact, and I think we don't have any more fields that are required, so I'll save. Now for the moment, I created the order, and I'll add a product to our order because this is an order, but I haven't specified yet what the client has ordered and what. So I'll in the add the order here, I'll choose existing product, which is from the list of the price list, and I'll choose free hugs. Now this record here is called an order product, and or if we see what the entity name for this record, it's called the sales order detail, which is something you have to go and check probably every time because the names are not order product and sales order detail are a little bit different. Now this is our price for our product, and we had the price per unit to 100 leg because I joked there are management costs, so we have to pay for them. But we have the possibility to specify a discount, a manual discount for our product because since I'm selling free hugs and I don't have a management cost because basically the salesperson or which I haven't specified, but the salesperson is still me. I'm hugging myself, so I have no cost, and I'll do a manual discount of 100 leg, and when I'll save the record, I'll see that the extended amount, which is the actual money to pay, let's say, for this product, will be 0 leg. And our functionality will be add the possibility to specify the discount as a percentage and not as a sum. So we'll see how we can implement this functionality. And since I joked that I'm selling the hugs to myself, I'll just do this. I'll save the changes. I will close. I can see that the extended amount and the discount are shown in the view. These views can be modified, and as you can see, when I hover the mouse over the fields, this can be changed from here. This is a pretty new functionality. It's called Editable Grid, and it's only from version 9, and we are at version 9 yet. So you can see here, as we can see, the version is 9 something. So this was the brief introduction, let's say, about what we want to do, and let's say not a clear one about the entities that are needed to implement our functionality, but we will see which are the entities by creating our solution. So I want to create a new solution because later I will explain how we export and import our customizations to other systems. So I'll call my solution percentage discount or discount percentage. And I'll choose my publisher, which is Betim Prototyping, and I'll give my solution a version. Now that I have created my solution, as you can see, it shows here. I will choose what are the entities that I want to customize. So as I told you, the entity that we are interested in is called sales order detail, or an order, depending on what I'm looking at the name or at the display name, an order product. Order product. As you can see, the name actually is sales order detail. So I want to customize this one. I'll choose it. And as I mention almost every time, I don't include the entity metadata because I want to create the smallest dependencies that I can, because a lot of dependencies create a lot of chaos in the system, and we will start breaking our functionalities because of changes that have dependencies that are not needed. That's why I try to keep the minimum dependencies possible. So I'll choose the form because what I want to do is I want to customize the main form, which is the one that I opened, and I want to customize it so I can add a new field. And actually, if I want to be, let's say, let's open again the form, because if I want to be 100% compatible with my way of organizing the changes, let's say I will add the necessary attributes that are as a dependency, let's say. Even if I don't change them, I will add them to the solution, so I create a dependency on them. So when other solutions, let's say, do changes on that fields, I will have a dependency, so I can check if I have conflicts, for example, that I have to uh, uh, let's say I have to solve, because conflicts are changes that are not compatible with each other. Like one change says that I want this field to be 10 characters long, for example, and one other change specifies that the field should be 20 characters long, and depending on both functionalities, I have to choose which is the right length for the field, let's say. And let's open our order. So I want to implement my functionality in this form, which is order product information, and I want to modify, let's say, the discount. I want the possibility to specify the discount in percentage other than in as a manual discount, which means that I need to know what is the amount that I'm discounting and what is the manual discount. This level up for dynamics extension, which is for Chrome, and I have added it in the wiki general Chrome extensions here, so you can add it to your Chrome environment. Helps us, let's say, to have a quick when we need to access the attribute name, let's say, and not the display name of our fields. We can show the logical names using this tool, or we can clear them. I will explain it in another training. So as I said, we need to create a dependency on amount and manual discount, so we can modify our functionality to implement the discount percentage. So let's get back to our solution, and I need amount, which was base amount. Display name is amount. Now, as you can see, there are two attributes for each field that is of type currency, and type currency means that that field has represents some money value, let's say, and we have two attributes for each of these, because there is a base currency for the organization, and there is a currency for our record, which might be different from our base currency, and if has a different base currency than different currency that our organization base currency, we have two fields, because the base gets converted. This one has the value converted in the base currency. So, for example, if as of now my base currency is LEC, and I have this record in euro, I will have the value in euro is 10 euros, and in LEC will be converted with conversion rate that I have specified, which I will not show for the moment, because As I told you, there are a lot of information and things to know about dynamics, and we have to focus on what we want to do for the moment. Just wanted to explain why there are two fields with the for the same attribute, let's call it, for the same. And we have two attributes for the same thing. There is amount and amount base. So I added amount as a dependency because I clicked over it, and I will add manual discount and manual. Let's go by display name, probably better. Manual. Okay, manual discount amount. It's still a money field or currency type. It depends on the naming are a little bit. There are synonyms everywhere, so we have to keep that in mind. And since I added the two fields that I need, I can click finish. So now I can see my entity, and I know that I added only one form. There were two. There is a quick form which I have not explained, but I will in the future. And there is the main form, and there are the fields. Okay, I added only one, as I can see. I can edit afterwards. And I said the extended amount, the name amount, okay. Base amount. Okay, now I have my two dependencies. And the other thing that I need to do for our functionality is create a new field, which is not provided by the system out of the box. And that field will serve as a container for our input for the percentage of the discount. Let's say that we have a new field, and we will call it percentage. Actually, it's better to call it discount percentage. Sounds a little bit more English. And I strongly advise to keep all lowercase here because of some complications that you might have in the future, because the fields are case sensitive, so it's better to have a certain way of managing and of thinking about the things. Let's say I don't have the right term to specify it now. And since we want to specify on our field a discount percentage, we have to choose how will that what will be the type of that percentage, and the most from all the types that we can choose, the most appropriate one is the floating point number. And because we want to specify a percentage of 3.2, let's say, as a discount, but we have to go and specify our precision and what's the minimum and the maximum value. So we have like the maximum discount I can apply is 100. The minimum discount I can apply is 0, because if I go negative, then it means I'm actually abusing with the terms, because it's not a discount, but it's an overprice. if I allow negative amounts of discount. And if you want to have clients, then you should not apply overprices. So I created my field. The requirement for this field is optional because not every, let's say, client will get a discount. So it's not even business recommended because we want to sell our products in the full price and not apply discounts. If we want to be successful in our business, let's say. So I added my new field. Now let's show it in the form. And I'm going a little bit quick since we're recording it and you can go slow, let's say, afterwards. What I want to do is add my custom field because I created it. It was not out of the box to our form. And I want to have it like a percentage between my manual discount and amount. I can put it everywhere I want. I can even hide, for example, my manual discount, and every discount should be specified the percentage, even though I use the manual discount, for example, in the actual code, but I want to specify it. You can do whatever you want, and whatever change simplifies the user's experience. So I added the field in the form and I'll save my change. I'll publish my change and I will refresh just to show that we have our field in the form. Discount percentage. Now, the thing is that we need to do some developers work and implement some JavaScript which will provide the functionality that we want. And what we need to do is we have to calculate the discount percentage every time that, for example, the manual discount changes, because it means that we have some amount, and if the manual discount changes, the percentage will be different. And we want, actually what we will implement for this tutorial, let's call it, is only one functionality, which is on change of the discount percentage, whatever value we input here, we will have this manual discount calculated. But to fully implement the functionality, we have to consider the changing of amount. What happens if we change the amount, which means we have to change the manual discount because the percentage is still the same. So what happens if we change the manual discount? We should change the percentage, and when we change the percentage, we should change the manual discount, so that the fields are always correct. And now I'll just save it like this. We have not implemented our functionality yet. I'll close this form to show you that we did not modify the view, and I don't see the discount percentage here. And this particular view is a little bit difficult to customize. So to add the discount percentage, you have to do some work, let's say. But other views can be easily modified. So let's open it again. And as I mentioned in our list of what we'll do, I did the brief introduction. I can consider having finished this second point, and now we can start developing our functionality with JavaScript. So we'll open Visual Studio and start writing our JavaScript. And while Visual Studio decides to open, I'll do a small briefing on where we will register our plugin. And where we want to register our plugin is actually on the change of discount percentage. We want to calculate the manual discount. So I can double click the field here in the editor. Or I can select it and click change properties. It's the same behavior of the system. Now I want to create a new project, and I will use the JavaScript blank Node.js console application because I will write it in plain JavaScript and not TypeScript. But I will use the typings that the TypeScript can help us a little bit with the IntelliSense. So we are in the sales order detail entity, and we want to do a discount percentage functionality. So I'll just call my plugin, let's say, sales order, and I'll call it discount percentage handler. The naming depends on the requirements, let's say, that we will have from the client, or we can choose our naming strategy, but we will have to decide for a common way to name the thing so everyone can understand what functionality is being developed in this project, let's say. So I'll call it like this for the moment. Now, this is what the project template for a Node.js console application gives us out of the box. Since we want to have the IntelliSense support, we will add an npm package, node package. The package is called types /xrm. And this is the one that we need. I can add it as a development dependency because I will not use these features, but what I like to do is add it as a development dependency since it's only typing, and it only helps us write the code easier. So I'll choose the latest one, but I can change the version when this works, or I can install it from the command line. Let's wait for this to install. So we can see in the output here that we installed this package from npm, and we can even see it here, our dependency, because each package is a dependency for our project. And now we can even change the name of our script. And we can start writing our functionality. So I always suggest that we use a certain namespace for our code, let's say. And since we are CTEL, we will use CTEL. So I will say I will use it like this. What we want to do is in our script to uh, extend, let's say, the CTL namespace. And to extend, I cannot do something like this because I will overwrite, let's say like this. If I load two scripts that do the same thing, only the latest one will be available because I will override the object. And to extend, I manually do it, but there are other techniques. So what I do is like this, and here I will pass detail. What language is okay? Or now this means that if my variable CTL is not defined, this or clause here will pass me an empty object. So oops. Here I will return my improved, let's say, CTL namespace. And now to have a little bit of support from the IntelliSense, as I can see here, CTL is any. And I don't need any IntelliSense for the moment here. What I need is I want to add the function to this namespace, and I will call it like this: sales order discount percentage. I like long names because they are descriptive of what they do. So when we debug our code, we don't have to think about the functionality if and go inside the code, for example, for details. If all I want to do is to have a overview of my algorithm. That's why I like long names and descriptive names. Actually, we can even do it like this, for example, but I have to do the same trick that I did for augmenting CTL. I will do it for augmenting sales order. So I will actually do it like so I will say function sales order. And I will pass here CTL sales order or no, okay, and object. So I can write this line of code here. Okay, now I will go in a new line because I will have to explain something. My function, which will be the handler for this change, will be a function that will be called on change of the value of this input, and my function will have a parameter which will be the context, and usually we call that variable context. I did a new line because as I can see from the IntelliSense, the type of the context is any, which means I don't know what type is it, and I will not have the right IntelliSense support to write my code, and I will have to remember everything I could have used Notepad++, and it would have been the same thing. But since we want to use Visual Studio so it can help us with our development, I will specify the type for my parameter of the function, and I will say that this is XRM, XRM event, event context. So as you can see now, my context has the correct typing. And if let's just do some step back. If I write context here and I have a dot, I don't have IntelliSense support. These are supposed that you can have them since you use them, but actually you don't have them. And if we do have our typing support, when I write context, now I have the correct support because I know that this has a method that it's called getContext, has a method that is called getDepth, getEventSource, which is the one we will use, getFormContext, which is one we will use. Let's start with getEventSource, and since we know where this handler will be called, I will say that my event source is the discount percentage. I can write the control or I can leave it without it. Probably I will write it. Okay, I'll just stay with 120. Can you read the text like this? Yeah. Okay. And the other variable we need is the form, because we want to change on change of the discount percentage. I want to change the value, and to change the value of the manual discount, I need to know what is the value of the amount so I can do the calculations. And what I need is I can go two ways. Let's say I will get the I can get there is a distinction which I told you about, but I don't expect you to remember. In a form we have controls, which are this that we can see, and we have the attributes, which are the actual data behind, and which are the data that will be sent to the server. And why is this distinction that why I wanted to mention it is that you can have two or three controls for the same attribute with different forms, probably depending on what you want to show on your form. And what we need to get is the amount control or amount attribute. It's not a problem because what we need is the amount value. Then we need to get the manual discount control because we want to set the value on this control. We want to refresh its value, but probably we will use only the attributes for these two. So we will write it like amount it's amount, okay, equals context dot get form context dot get attribute. Will as I told you before, the last part of our training will be debugging, and That's why I'm writing the code, and we'll start to debug it to see if I did the right thing or not. So here we need to specify what's the what is the attribute we want to get, and we can use our shortcut, our helper, and we can see that this is base amount. So the other, we are getting the attribute and not its value, which is we are getting an object which has some methods to modify it. So the other attribute we want to get is the manual discount. And as we can see, the help from the IntelliSense is really good. And this help is possible for the community's work, let's say, because typings are provided by the community and not by Microsoft. Reading Microsoft's documentation, but still, this is the field that we want to update. So our function will be registered on change of the discount percentage. So what our algorithm will be is to set the manual discount equal to amount times we can write it together. I don't want to spoil the result because I want to ask who will tell me what's the right formula to use. So we have our discount percentage control, which has get value because we need the value of the control. Now, the value can be null because I have not specified anything like this. Now the value is null, or can be a number which I specified that the maximum can be 100, so it has some validation. So if I say the name is not 100%, right? Probably it was a discount percentage. Like this. Now one let's say decision to make right now is how do we want to manage the null value? Do we want to make it like if the discount percentage is null, do I want to make the manual discount null to set it to a null value, or do I want to leave it unchanged? So these are decisions that the developer should take to have the best user experience possible. Now, probably it's better to make it like if it's null, set the manual discount to null, clear its value. So that's what I'll do. If discount percentage, you can do the triple. The triple doesn't make sense. Double equals. Manual discount. As you can see, I don't have a type for my manual discount. And actually, since we are using JavaScript and not TypeScript, in this moment we don't have a way, let's say, to cast our object to something that can give us some support. So we have to guess what the method is. Now, as a workaround, let's say, for our problem, and to uh, not go to the documentation, I can do a discount percentage control dot get attribute, no, attributes. I'm just doing this to check for the, no, because this is, okay. So discount percentage control. What I want to do is set the value. Okay. So I know that there will be a set value method here, and I want to set it to null. So I'll clear my field. And what we can do is take this script and register it on change of our field. To register it, we have to, I'll turn back to this in a moment because we need them. First, we need to create a web resource, which will be the container for our JavaScript. And so we have to create a new web resource. There is a convention to use the slashes for creating a directory structure, let's say. Because if we use the slashes in the naming, then we are creating a structure of our code for our customization. So when we will create, for example, one HTML that needs to load the JavaScript, we will use the relative paths and not the full paths to reference or to load that JavaScript. And this is a form handler, let's say, so I can give it a name like this so it doesn't mix with other scripts, and I can give it a name which is usually it should be this same name that we have in the source code, so we know what was our developed functionality. The display name will be sales order dot discount percentage handler, and the type will be JavaScript, and as a simple we will copy. So there are automated ways of doing all these steps that I'm doing, which we'll see later. I will copy this script here and I'll save my changes. I'll publish. I'll close. Now I will register my script. This functionality, I have to register it in the form, so it loads and it executes. And then we will start debugging, and then we will really implement our feature, because for the moment we implemented only that if we clear the discount percentage, it should clear our manual discount field. So we want to register our script in the on change of discount percentage, and we can go in the events tab, and we see we have here on change, and we can specify the function to call. But first we need to go in the form libraries and register our web resource, which contains I missed something here. Okay, which contains our script. First, we need to register the library, so it loads the scripts on the form, and then we will register from this library. You have to call the function, and the function was called, if I'm not wrong, ctel.sales order dot. It's better if you use the copy paste method to give the names, because typos are always your best and worst friend. Best because you'll meet them every time. Worst because you lose a lot of time because of typos. And the important thing is to check this pass the execution context as first parameter, because if we don't check this, our function will not have the context, and so we will not know which form changed, which form field changed, and there are a lot of other problems, because if we don't pass the context, then we have to use the deprecated XRM page namespace and stuff like this. So I registered my change handler, let's say, on this form. Since it's JavaScript we are talking about, browsers are really aggressive with caching. So we have to have developer tools open, so we can right click here and choose the option to empty cache and hard reload. So we are almost certain that our changes will be applied, let's say. And we will not use the script from the cache of our browser, which it's a problem that might happen a lot of times. Exception occurred in follow-up, okay. For the moment, I'm seeing that probably we don't have any typos in our code, because I'm not seeing any exceptions here. Let's just specify a manual discount and a discount percentage. Now we have our error. Cannot read property discount percentage handler of undefined. Of course, because I did not return, let's say, my sales order here. I did not assign it to something. So I need to say ctel dot sales order equals, and I have to return it here, ctel dot or sales order. Sorry. Okay, and what I need to do next is to copy again this script, go in the web resources, update my script, and as you can see, without automation, these steps are really time consuming, and which is why I strongly encourage everyone to, even if it takes some time to set up, let's say, things, to use automation, because we will lose our time only for the setup, and then our debugging will be a lot easier. And if we don't get interrupted while we want to debug something, then we will be more focused and we will solve our problems a lot more faster. So I refreshed our form, and let's see if we still have our problem. Let's see what happens when we do change this, and we don't have an exception. This is Microsoft exception, it's not our problem. So what we expect is, if we clear our value, we expect the manual discount to be clear too. So as we can see, we did our job pretty much how it was expected, and we did some little debugging, let's say, because we messed things unintentionally. So now what we need to do is to actually implement the feature. So I need one of you to tell me what is the right formula to and which field I need to set and to read. Or which field I need to set. I told it before, and you can see I need to do something like this, and this will be manual discount value, which I will create right now as a variable. I set it to 0, but I need to set it to something which you will tell me what it should be. I mentioned before that what I need to do is to calculate from the amount by applying this percentage that I specified, what is the actual value of the discount. Or by making an example, if I have 100 lakh price for my product and I apply 10% discount, then I have a 10 lakh discount. If I apply 20% discount, I have 20 lakh discount. If I apply a 100% discount, I have 0 lakh. I have the price, let's say the entire amount of. It's just a product. It's not that complicated. I intentionally made this, let's say, this question because usually when you get a lot of information, let's say, because you are learning new stuff, even the most simple thing that was, let's say, this will be like this: amount dot get value times discount percentage. And actually, I don't even have to do another calculation, let's say, so I'll just set it without creating a variable. But the thing is that I just wanted to point out that usually when you get asked this question, even though I'm 100% sure that all of you thought that this was one of the possibilities, you how it's called, you discard, let's say, this option because it feels too simple, let's say. Why did the team ask us? And it's only to keep you a little bit engaged to follow what I'm explaining. Because it was simple, no? It's not a complex formula. I don't want you to write a formula which predicts, let's say, which will win our World Cup, our next World Cup in the football or soccer, depending on what country you live in. So I took my changes, I am updating the script, and I will refresh the form again. And let's test our functionality if it works how it should. For example, if I apply a 10% discount without before I actually execute it. So I remove focus from the field. Do you think I did a mistake on the formula and I have a bug or not? Because when I'll apply the change, I'll just no. Okay, I'll do it like this. If you see the formula here, I called it discount percentage, but because I spoiled it, but I called it discount percentage, but my value actually is in percentage, so it's in 100, let's say. So to actually have the right value here, I need to do a division by 100. Because I spoiled it because I clicked in the field, and as you can see, the manual discount is 1000 leg, not 100, and so we are giving other so much more than free hugs, let's say. We are even paying you. We are hugging you and giving you 900 leg. So good job, developers, and our company just gone bankrupt. So we will not be paid. Actually, we will be sued and we will be asked to pay the loss of the company. It's just a joke, and you should always make some jokes, let's say, so keep the engagement high. This is what I think. So I fixed again because I'm doing some trial and error with a strong what's it called, by pointing out error. I'm doing on purpose a lot of errors so you understand how the development work is done. So if I do a 11% discount, then I will get a manual discount of 11, and actually you can see that the extended amount is still a negative value, and I have to actually save my changes to, because that is calculated from out of the box, let's say, plugin that it's an out of the box functionality, but it's calculated server side, which means every time these fields change, these get calculated on the server, and when I get the response of the save, I get my form updated. So I can specify discounts with the, let's say, within the interval that I specified when I created this field. And I specified that I want 2 decimal, like if I do like this, I think it will be truncated to only the value that I have specified because of the validation, let's say. And the functionality can have a lot of other things to be implemented 100% correct. Like, for example, if I go and change the manual discount, I have to do another function that will validate and update the correct fields, let's say. Validate because I don't want, for example, I want to add a manual validation from the code that the manual discount, let's say, cannot be greater than the amount. So I cannot actually donate money to my client with this functionality because the company will have a lot of losses. Actually, even if I do a 100% discount, it means that anyway the company will have losses because nothing is free. So even if it's free hugs, as I joked before, it's the company will have operation costs. So even for this, the employee that will give you the free hugs, let's say, will have its cost for the company, the system that you are configuring this order will have its cost. So it's not a good idea to have 100% discount unless from this free hug you get some other benefits from the client, let's say. I'm giving you some business logic information, let's call it, because we need to have some purpose on why we develop our functionalities. And the business logic is important, and the business, let's say, we need to know what the client expects or what the user expects from our changes. So to know what they are expecting, we need to know what job they do, how they expect to use the system, so we can improve their user experience. And this was the training, let's say, for the JavaScript, uh, plugins. And actually, this will be, let's say, a training task for every one of you to extend these changes. Like, for example, to add an handler for the manual discount, so it calculates what's the percentage of that manual discount. And just to give you a rough or to give you some heads up about possible problems, is that if this amount here is not a beautiful value like I did here 100, but it's something like this, let me just say, and I do a discount percentage of this. Actually, if you do the inverse, if you set the manual discount here and you calculate with a formula, the discount percentage might be a little bit different because of rounding errors that happen. And that you should not be worried too much, because as I implemented the functionality, is that I'm not doing any more calculations other than the manual discount, and that's the field that, let's say, will be used for the actual discount. It's not the percentage. The percentage is some estimation, let's call it, and it's some uh, shorthand to change the actual value that is the manual discount. So we will not do any more changes, let's say, other than this. So in the actual order, the discount will be this one. We will not add the percentage. There is one little, let's say, problem with our implementation, which is this is an editable grid, and if I change the value here, I think I did not change it because okay, if I change the value here, now it's saved. Since I did the client-side modification of the values, even if you add the handler to the change of the discount, let's say, actually the value of the discount percentage will not be changed when you'll do. And there are workarounds, but you are registering your plugin in the change of this form and not on the change of the editable grid. So that was just a heads up to know that even though you might think that you have solved all the problems here, there might arise problems in the future because of because the change is being made in different parts of the system. To solve that problem, we can do, for example, a server-side plugin that it's registered on update of discount percentage and does the calculation from the server side, but it's not much recommended, let's say, because you will have to save your data to get the value calculated, and you will have something that gets executed every time, and so the system will be slower. And if I'm not wrong, I just covered everything that there is to know about how to customize a form with a JavaScript for startup, because as I point out always, in the dynamics world, you never finish to learn new stuff, because they implement new functionality every 6 months, and actually they make small changes in an agile methodology like every week. They are doing, especially in the form behavior, let's say, they do little changes that are not notified but are just experienced, let's say. And you experience them because from time to time you will see bugs like the exception message that we were getting when a form gets loaded, for example. You will see a lot of refused. This should not be seen here, or this exception here. This is only because of changes Microsoft does to improve the system, but since it's a huge system, then it will have small bugs from time to time. Let's hope there will not be bugs that will give us problems with our work, because if we get those type of bugs, then we have to file a support request with Microsoft, open a support request with Microsoft, and depending on what type of contract we have with Microsoft, we are a gold partner or a silver partner, the times might change on how quick we get a response for our support, and depending on the type of error, how easy it is for Microsoft to solve out this problem. And main point to keep in mind is that to have support for Microsoft, we should not have unsupported changes from JavaScript or from client side. If our system has some unsupported changes, which are not documented changes, or using APIs that are internal, or that you can read in the documentation what changes are supported and not, and what are unsupported. I think we talked enough about this, and we can stop here. And then if you have any question that will be recorded, it's better. If you don't, then you can ask later, let's say.